Hi everybody, my name is Michelene. I'm a grateful alcoholic. And I don't want to hold in my stomach and stand up really straight, so just set that like that. Now I'm really much more relaxed. Oh my God. Thanks, Troy, for recommending me. Where's Troy? Okay, I thought you split. Stop. For recommending me, and John and Tina for picking me up, and was it Danetta? Danica, happy birthday, and Tina, happy birthday. 1 year's long. If you've never done it, it's really long. Overnight, all weekend, every day. So I said, you got no cakes here? To John, poor John. It's your birthday. You guys don't do cakes out here. We clap over everything. We're like maniacs out there. We're all so heavy, you know, because we're really eating a lot. We celebrate everything. So mostly I want to welcome the newcomers, and I want to thank the old-timers. Are there any old-timers? Thank you. Hopefully, Christ. I don't want to be the only old person here. I know when we walked up, I told John, I said, my Christ, they're like 12 years old, you know. Then I saw a few people with gray hair, so I felt better. Any service people out there? Veterans? Thank you for your service. Happy Memorial Day. Clap. I love it. I just get up here and like boss people around that they do it. I'm totally into this. So, and it goes Sherry at dinner, and thanks for free food. I always love that. We were talking about, you know, she was listening to my tape, and or they don't have tapes anymore. I guess it was a CD, and she goes, you know, make sure you tell the part about teaching primary in the Mormon church when I was actually a Catholic. And, you know, and I was drinking wine in the bathroom because teaching primary can be stressful. And I was part of the Ladies Relief Society, which I just joined to learn how to make jam, which I did learn how to do that. And then I drink wine in the bathroom and have a cigarette, and then blame it on the big kids. I'd walk out and somebody, nice, real Mormon, would go, oh my God, did you smell the smoke? I said, I saw some teenagers that were in there. So I've since made my amends, but I'm just off, you know what I'm saying? There's just something wrong with me, and it's always been that way, nothing new. I want to welcome the addicts here. I just guess as a courtesy. I have an issue with that, but I don't want to say anything because I'm a guest here, but I totally, if I was going to say something, what I would say is something like, doing that, it just always cracks me up, but I think it's kind of like going to the Mormon church, standing up and saying, I'm a Catholic, and I would like to recite the Hail Mary. Do y'all know what the Hail Mary is? It's a Catholic thing. But half the women I sponsor are alcoholic addicts, so I just like to make fun of people. It's one of my characteristics that usually offends somebody throughout the meeting, and I've gotten so old here that I don't care. Basically. My sobriety date's June 30th, 1982, and that's a long time, and I just want to tell the newcomers relapse is not mandatory, and it doesn't have to be part of your recovery. So that's just been my experience. If somebody like me can make it, anybody can make it and stay. I was only serious about this for about 2 hours. You know, I made the call, that desperate call, and I was, swear to God, serious. I didn't even know to call AA. That was God's grace for sure. And then 2 hours later, you realize you've overreacted. But I'd already given them my address, so they're coming to get me, you know. So that's kind of how I got here for almost 29 years. And I was actually raised in Phoenix. I was born in Houston, raised in Phoenix, and I'm a Catholic school kid. And I'm a product of a generation that, if you're neurotic and you go to Catholic school and you're a Catholic school kid, you know, and you're neurotic, you're usually going to become a nun. And that's what I was going to do. One, I love black and white. I love the colors. I totally thought that would be me. And I loved that whole ambiance, candles and statues and confession. I just totally was into all that. I just thought it was very cool, the mystique of it all. And I was raised at St. Agnes, and I come from 5 generations of alcoholics, and I don't really like alcoholics. They upset me because they're very hurtful people. I don't know if you've ever met any, but they just make a mess. And I would have never become one on purpose. And if you're powerless over alcohol and you have the progression of alcoholism, then you're going to hurt a bunch of people, and it won't be your intent. It'll look like it's your intent, but it isn't. I had alcoholism without my permission. I had it with my full participation, but I didn't have it with my permission. It wasn't where I was going. I was going to be a nun. And I wasn't going to be like anybody else that I knew that hurt people. I was just going to be an incredible nun. I was going to join an order called the Blessed Virgin Mary Order. The acronym was the BVMs. And the BVMs were very cool nuns. And everybody wore a habit in those days, and they made you feel guilty for breathing. I mean, they had it down to a science, you know. And that was the order I was going to be in. And I just kind of grew up. And, you know, I got to be honest with you, it wouldn't have mattered if I would have been raised by Jesus, Mary, and Joseph or the Charles Manson family. I swear to God, I'm convinced of that now. I'm off. I've always been off. I was born off. And I can tell you a childhood, whatever, but I'm bored with it. They couldn't have won. Basically, is the bottom of line. They weren't perfect people, but they could not have won with me. Nothing was enough and nothing was right, and I heard everything different. So I have no issue with that. No issue with that. But I was neurotic, and I knew I was off, and it sucks when you know you're off at such a young age. I mean, I could have joined this at 5 or something, you know, based on how I felt. Self-obsessed. I was driven by 100 forms of fear, self-pity, self-seeking, and self-delusion. At 5, I've always been like that. I didn't want to be. I mean, I would have never picked. How do you want to be? Well, I hope I'm driven by 100 forms of fear. You know, really. I'm totally obsessed with myself and really off. You know, I'm going for that. I just like this. So, of course, you're going to be a nun. But, you know, I went to my first party where there were no nuns present. And drank for the first time, which I never drank. And the next day I couldn't be a nun. Get it? She looks like such a sweet young thing right here, so that means you're not. Innocent. And I don't know, if you're a good alcoholic, you know, what you've got always is a backup plan. You know, if plan A doesn't work, you got plan B going for you. If plan B looks like it's going to bomb, get plan C. And so I was going to be a nun, but I couldn't be a nun, and so I became a go dancer. And that was my backup plan. I mean, it just fell into my lap, you know. And this girl that I knew was, you know, I said, I need cash, basically. I think I said I needed cash, because I had decided to come to California. And I was in Phoenix and growing up in Phoenix, and I was almost 14. I was very mature for my age, you know, and decided I needed cash and I wanted to come to California. And so you need cash for that. And So she said, well, I'm dancing at this bar called the Pirate's Den, and minimum wage then was 65 cents an hour. And she says, I'm making $4 an hour cash plus tips. I went, I'm a go-go dancer. I mean, what are the odds of that? And there was an opening, and oh my God, you know, yeah, it was pretty. Here I'm in a little Catholic school, and then now I'm in stilettos and fishnet hose and not a lot of other things, but $4 cash, I'm pretty flexible, and that's what I did, you know. I think it was almost 8 months, and that's so much money. I mean, if you think about it, that's a lot of money, and I saved probably almost $800, which was a fortune in 1965. 1964, that's a lot of money. I was a good dancer. I really wasn't even that good. I was like a legend in my mind, you know. But drunk people will tip good. That's the truth, you know. They're drunk, you're half naked, they'll give you cash, you know. And I like this job, you know. Should be. But I wasn't cut out for sin. I was cut out for goodness. And I knew that. And I, you know, got my cash. And I decided to come to California to marry a sailor. Because they were flexible and open, you know, and willing. And I was almost 15, and I got myself an airline ticket. And I don't know how long airline jets had started. But Sky Harbor Airport, has anybody ever been to the airport in Phoenix? It's huge. Sky Harbor Airport was this big when I left home. Maybe it was this big. And the plane would be out there, and you had to walk on the cement or the asphalt, whatever they called it, to get on the plane. And there I go with my cash, and I got a Jacqueline Kennedy suit, which was very chic. And I got a pair of high heels. I'd never been in high heels till I was a go-go dancer, so now I knew how to wear those. And here is this mom, and her name was Donna Reed, and she was on TV. She was my idol. She wore pearls, and she was such a good wife and such a good mom, and she was just a good little goodness person. And I decided that was going to be what I was. And I had to get a sailor to marry me first, and I went to the Pickwick Hotel, which is downtown San Diego, and I got a sailor. And we got a puppy and a baby. I mean, I really wasn't sure. I'd only seen so many episodes. But I kind of got the general idea of what you do to go happily ever after and be a grown-up. You know what I mean? It didn't. Being a kid was stressful on me. It was stressful. I don't know. Being young when you're not normal. Oh my God, it's so flippin' exhausting. And other people look like they're normal and they're just playing bouncy ball, and I'm pensive. I'm thinking about myself. You know, and they were just out playing dodgeball and stuff, not me. I'm thinking, you know. And so, but I looked at the grown-up deal, especially on TV, and I thought, that does not look that stressful to me. It looks like a cakewalk. You get a puppy, baby, subscribe to Parents Magazine, make a meatloaf. I mean, it's not rocket science. And that was my story. That's what I did. Pretty much for the next 20 years. This is how I like guys, so watch out if you're out there. I love good-looking alcoholics with potential. You just have to have potential. You have to be good-looking. Already checked Austin out, a little young, but you know, he's going somewhere, being somebody, you know. And I like him. I liked him a lot. I just, you know, he was going to be like, you know, our house was going to be like Ozzie and Harriet. You know, only Ozzie wasn't bringing home ice cream. And he was in the Navy, and they drink quite a bit. And I really didn't drink too much over the next 16 years. It really wasn't my story. I was episodic. I was such a periodic that you couldn't pick up a pattern. What I was consistent about was I was a martyr. And I'd like to welcome any Al-Anons that are sitting out there. You know, I wanted to just be an Al-Anon. You know, we're the good ones, they're the bad ones. We forgive them, they're bad. Then we get a couch. I loved it, you know. I mean, I got a lot of furniture out of guilt, you know. And I just kind of liked the whole thing, and I'd be the good one. And people go, oh my gosh, I don't know how you do it. And I didn't either, you know. But that was my story. And we were laughing at dinner. I've never actually been to high school. I mean, I went to the campus. But basically to French kiss this guy named Daryl and smoke cigarettes. I mean, that was basically why I stopped by the campus. Totally stressed me out looking at the whole atmosphere. And so that's why I went to the bar and danced in the bar and saved up go-go money to come to California. It just wasn't my shtick, you know. I mean, I didn't blend well in elementary or middle school, but I certainly, high school looked like I'd commit suicide or jump off a bridge or something. I don't know if I was focused enough to commit suicide, but freak show, so I didn't go. I am a good liar, though. I'm not now. I could be. I mean, I have the potential to be, but I don't. But then, what I did was like creative truth. I was like, if this were true, if this was what I wanted to be true, this would be the truth. And so what I did was I enrolled in City College because I thought, and I said I'd gone to this high school, which I had, and I put the year I would have graduated had I actually attended. And that's how we got into everything. My resume was not true or honest until I was 7 years sober. I had degrees, man, University of Michigan, because I took 52 credits there of healthcare management. So that's like, for me, that's like a degree. And then they said, then I found out it was Michigan University, not University. I didn't even know where it was, but whatever, I was inside. And I was a poli-sci major, which I really didn't know what poli-sci was, but I knew that that was a very cool thing. And so that's what I'd gone to a workshop on something unrelated at San Diego State, and so I just put I'm a poli-sci major. They loved that. And they didn't have computers then, so they just would go, wow, and I'd go, no kidding. I mean, I'm impressed. I haven't even done any of that, but I was honing my truth, which was all crap, basically. I mean, what I was trying to do is, and I don't know if you've done this, but if you ever try to act like you're a legitimate person when you're really not one, there are legitimate people out there. They actually did go to school. They actually did do this. This actually happened to them. You know, they actually got married as a virgin. I mean, it was like they're tribute to me. I'm not one of those, and I don't want everybody to know everything. You know, at that point in my life, so I created my legitimacy, and it was impressive. And I've been in healthcare management now for almost 41 years. So, they don't care. I do what I do, I'm good at it, but whatever. You know, it just looked too hard. Doing what I do well, it didn't look hard, I could just do it. But, all of the classes and stuff, it was just, what if I can't do it, you know, what I'm already doing. So it was just too much. I'd rather just lie. And I was a Girl Scout leader for years. I was a den mother. We went to Catholic Church, Our Lady of Grace. I taught primary in the Mormon church for 3 years and baked bread and hung with the Mormons, you know. I wasn't like them, you know, and every once in a while I'd have a little bit of wine or a cigarette there in the bathroom and blame it on teenagers. But I totally dug making jam and family home evening, and I just thought a lot of this is very cool. Couldn't buy the whole deal, but I just liked it. I just thought that was so good for the kids. And he'd misbehave and I'd be good. And then I'd forgive him, and then we'd get to go camping, and basically that's what my life was like. And I'd get drunk at the ER Christmas party. I worked ER for 13 years, and I'd get drunk at the ER Christmas party, and it was like from 4 daiquiris, you know, and they had to be weak. And it just didn't look like I was going to be the one with the problem. He was the bad one. We'd kind of made a deal, and he would misbehave, and I would be good, and I would forgive him, and I'd be a martyr, and I'd come through on every area, and he would fall short sometimes, but I'd forgive him. Love forgiving. Because you can usually get stuff out of it. Not because I'm good, you know, I just did that. And that's really what our life was like. You know, that was what our life was like. And when I think about it, the only thing that I know for sure that was true is I really love my kids. They did make me whole and complete. They mattered to me. Their happiness, their self-esteem, their self-worth, all of it mattered to me. And I was devastated by the divorce, and I had to do it because he was going to wreck my happily ever after family, and I couldn't let him. I couldn't. And so then I realized I was the only divorced woman in La Mesa. The only one. Nobody else had failed. Me. I was the only one in the whole city. And they all knew. Everybody knew. People didn't even care knew. I knew that they knew. And I couldn't handle that. I felt so bad. And then he had moved to Coronado to find himself with her, and I had all these kids because I was totally into the Waltons at that stage. Just keep having them, you know. And Jesus, TV, that's my life, you know. And so I got into like creative financing because if you don't get child support and you don't want to deprive your children of anything, you spend money at them. I'll show him. They are not. Anyway, I called it creative financing. Somebody else called it fraud, whatever. You know, it's like, I don't think that's that bad. I mean, it was like, I said, well, I'm not on welfare. No, but you're committing a crime. And I was like, fine. Fortunately, I knew the president of my bank. I'd served on a board with him. And so instead of doing jail time, he just would threaten to close my account and then end up loaning me money. And I loved him. He was a good man. And then finally he just said, you can't, I want you to bring in all your checks. And he wasn't just like happy to close my account. He wanted me to bring him the checks. Because you have checks, what do? Doesn't matter if the account's closed, does it? If they're dumb enough to, and they didn't run them through little machines, and they just looked at you, and if you look like a legitimate person, they take your check. I probably look less legitimate today than when I was pretending to be legitimate, you know? But that's what it was like, and then finally, alcohol fixed me, and it fixed me different. I wasn't visiting at one conference or visiting at an ER Christmas party. I was so broke and raw that it was a perfect opportunity for alcoholism to just get me good. It had been trying, and in retrospect, I saw that then, later on, but I didn't get it. I didn't see that these other episodes I had and my martyrdom. I've always been trying to fill a hole up inside of me with something. I'd taken foster kids, I'd be a Girl Scout leader, or work in an ER. I would do anything I could to fill up the hole so I'd be legitimate and whole and complete. And when all that quits working, and I think that the divorce really was the catalyst to just really let me know that everybody knew now I was faking. I wasn't a great wife. I couldn't have been. Why would this have happened? You know, I wasn't a good mom. I couldn't provide financially for my family the way I should have been able to. La, 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 la. So driven by 100 forms of fear, self-pity, self-seeking, and self-delusion. I made such a mess. But my girlfriend introduced me to wine after work. And I had needed a lot of drinks for a long time. I'm surprised I didn't just jump off of the roof, although we lived in a one-story home. It was bad. And I was like working all day in the ER and then coming home, grabbing this one to get her to dance, this one to gymnastics, this one here. And that's what my second shift looked like. And my neighbor just was like, she goes, you need to come over and have a glass of wine with me on the front porch when you get off work. And it's a good wine and yada, yada, yada. And I didn't really like wine. I didn't really like drinking that much. Especially if it tasted like alcohol. I didn't really like that much. But I thought I do need to take a 10 or 15 minute break in between. And just go in there, help me start to relax a little bit. And I didn't love the wine. But with fine wines, you acquire taste. Oh my God. I thought I do love this now that I think about it. I love this a lot. And I started relaxing. I started to relax. And it was kind of something happened, kind of like the third step deal, where I started to kind of know something and feel a sense of something that I'd never felt before. And it was a quiet place. My head wasn't spinning. My heart wasn't beating. I didn't have a knot in my gut. I was relaxed for the very first time in my life. And if you've ever been tense and then you get relaxed, wouldn't you want to do that again? Hello, it's not rocket science, it's like, of course. And I always say, well, I might have taken yoga. Right. But I acquired such a taste for this good wine. And she didn't have a drinking problem. She'd have a glass of wine and sip it. A glass of good wine and sip it. Fascinating. And so one day I went over there for my break, and she had a box of wine sitting on the thing, and I'd never seen that. I said, what is that? She goes, I got you a box of wine. I went, oh my God, this is so cool. And it's got a spigot. I love spigots. I mean, it's just easy. No cork, no getting it together, no skinny little bottle. This is a box. And she goes, and it's all for you. And we'll keep it in the fridge because I didn't want alcohol at my house or around my kids because of their bad father. And I went, oh my God, I mean, she was a good friend, a box of wine, because she couldn't afford the fact that I had acquired a taste for a good wine. It was apparently an issue. And so that's what happened. And the progressive disease of alcoholism, and for a very short period of time, it made me better. It made me relax. It kind of, in a way, I almost got hopeful. Because if you relax and you can regroup, I'd relax and kind of regroup and refocus and, okay, I can do this. And I kept drinking more and more. And I didn't know I had the progressive disease of alcoholics. I know what they're like, I'm not like that. And then all of a sudden, those kids were getting on my nerves. I don't know if you've had kids, but they're very selfish people. And they want dinner, and I'm the only carpool mom. Can't somebody else carpool? And I didn't know why I was changing. I thought that they had just gotten more selfish. I really did. I didn't know any of the things I know today because I would have never hurt them on purpose. I loved them. That was my purpose. But now I'm realizing how selfish they were, and they're kind of screwed up too, which I was sure was their father's fault. And I was trying to figure out what to do, and then I realized, I shouldn't drink because they're seeing me drink now, and I had to hide it because of their father's drinking. When he was there, they didn't like his drinking, so I was just using it to relax a little bit, so I'd hide it. So that they wouldn't see it, because I didn't want to upset him, which is a good mother thing to do, in my mind. And now I know that's a sign, too. And that's what happened. I started to destroy everything and everybody, and started drinking at work. This time, 29 years ago, I had just been, a company owned our hospital and several other hospitals. And that company called me to see if I wanted to head up this hospital division for this other portion of their company, based on my reputation from some period back. They didn't know what had been happening to me over the years, or especially the last couple of years. So they didn't know, so they had hired me. They said, would you be willing to come here? And I was like, yeah. Because I was starting to go in late to work and do things I'd never done before, nor would I ever, because that's not responsible. And so I went to work for them, and it was a big job, way over my head, and I was really good at it. I was amazingly good at it. It just surprised me. And so I had just started that job probably 3 months before I got sober. I'd been around the same time I was diagnosed with acute alcohol poisoning. Fascinating. When you're so good at being a fake person that you can pull off a promotion. I mean, it was amazing to me. And June 29th is my regular birthday, and I was wrecking everything, and I was hurting everybody. I also was not into mail. I didn't open mail for quite a while. Mail makes me nervous. I still don't love mail, but I'll open it every day. But then I was like, if you don't open it, you don't owe it. My mentality. And why bum yourself out if you're not going to pay it anyway? Chill. So that was kind of how I was thinking. Anyway, it was bad. And the kids didn't want me to drink on my birthday because they were making me birthday breakfast. Another thing from the Waltons that we did. And Walton's Mountain, on your birthday, they all sing the birthday song and bring you breakfast in bed, and you have no chores on Walton's Mountain on your birthday. So that's what we did at my house. Only I'm dying of alcoholism. I've only been in bed 3 hours. I have to throw up before I can drink water in the morning because I'm sick. I've got the progressive disease of alcoholism that has progressed to a point where I'm probably carrying a 0.25 minimum blood alcohol level. Any day I've started drinking at work because I can't wait till 5. Gin and tonic and Tupperware I didn't think was like that big of a deal. You know? Kind of a mom thing, you know. Too long to wait till 5. I mean, it was just crazy. And I couldn't go all day without a drink, so I had to drink. And I came to it in the middle of the night, and I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where the kids were, and that had never happened before. And I got scared. I got scared different. And I knew it was over, and I didn't know what. I didn't know about you. I didn't know about Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't know about any of it. And I said, God, if you're there, and I'm not sure, I need help. This is so bad. And I got up, and I remember walking around to see where I was, and some friends apparently had been called to come get me out of the bar. Then they dropped me off at their house and put me in their guest room, and then gone to get the kids, who were all in the family room. And so I felt better that they were safe, and I knew where I was then, and I just sat there. And God's grace for me is God does for me what I can't do for myself, or what I don't know to do for myself. He has never done anything I could do for myself. But he has always done everything I can't do for myself. And what I didn't know to do was come here. I didn't know. And so it was like, I think it's God's grace. I call AA, which is so weird. And I tell this lady named Flo 12-step me that day, and I tell this person who I don't even know the truth, which I'd never done to anybody. I mean, I'm just vomiting more information, I'm sure, than she actually wanted to hear, but I'm just like, what? She asked me, and I told her. And it was bad, and I'm just like, this is so bad, and this is what's happened, and I'm a terrible person, I'm a terrible mother, and I'm blah. And she says, it's gonna be okay, I'm gonna take you to be an AA. I went, okay, I'll be an AA. She goes, I want you to call me today before you drink, and I'll pick you up tonight. And I said, oh, I'm not going to drink. I'm never drinking. I'm going to be an AA, you know, totally into this. And she did make it sound good. And you know how you go 2 hours later? I mean, I want to be an AA because and she was nice, but I'm actually going to need to drink something. Not a lot. Not a lot. Just like a little bit. Because I'm like more tense. My neck's pulsing. I'm freaking out here. You know. But being naive, I just thought, it's a rule. You have to call first. Just the way she said it made me think it was a rule. And that, you know, like once they say they'll help you and they have your address, like you have to call them first. Because she said, call first, call before you drink. Which to me meant you can drink, they just want you to call first. Check in, you know. So I called her and I said, you know, I want to be an AA still, you know. And, but I'm very stressed out this morning. I don't know what's going on. I'm just really upset and I just, you know, I'm going to have a glass of wine in a wine glass. I mean, it's not like I'm drinking out of the bottle, for Christ's sake. And, you know, I'm trying to get this thing going. And she goes, wham, no idea what she said. But at the end of the call, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to drink. It's hell. Look at, and I was totally focused. I am not going to drink no matter what. No matter what. And then 2 hours later, it's like labor pains, you know, where you think you're good, and then, you know, it's like, ah! And that's what happened. It was like that again, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. And this time for sure, you know, this is like, I'm going to have to drink something because now I'm getting shaky and weird and, you know, really shaky, like embarrassing, and nobody's even looking at me, you know, like really embarrassed. And so I called first because it's a rule. And I explained her name was Flo, and I said, I was trying to explain, like she doesn't completely understand my dilemma here, you know, because I don't know what your trip is here. I just know I am not going to be able to make it all day. I mean, it's not like I haven't tried for Christ. I'm sweating, you know, from trying to be not drinking, and I'm exhausted, and I'm just like, so, and then she goes, wham, 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 and I go, I don't want to drink. Drinking's bad. I want to be an AA. I mean, I said I would be an AA. I mean, the kids are, no, I have to be an AA all day. And then now I got it, you know, now it's like I'm totally committed. And 2 hours later. And then I realized that you have to put your foot down with these people. They're like flipping cult people, you know. They know where you live, and they, you know, they brainwash you, and they like candles or something. I don't know what they're like. But I am going to be an AA and drink. Because I wanted to be an AA, because she made it sound good and quiet and peaceful and relaxing, and that I'd be okay. And she gave me this pump AA talk. But, you know, to be in it sober just looked like too much of a stretch, you know. And it's like, it's just too much. And it's like long, and just, so I thought this time I put my foot down. I'm not going to buy into her little whatever trip she's on. And I can be an AA and drink a glass of wine if I feel like it. You have to get an attitude, you know, like if you're going to go back out, because once they've been really nice to you, you're going to feel kind of bad, you know. But what I said was, if you don't hurry and get here, I won't be able to be an AA. How pathetic is that? And I was not going to say that. And she's like at the door. Like, once they have your address, they're sitting across the street from your house or something, waiting for that last phone call when you're just ready to jump. And she was like there fast, and she babysat me till my first meeting. Thursday night, Channel Road, Lakeside. That's a long day. And I didn't know what your little thing was here, and oh my God, it was embarrassing, you know, to have to join. this. And some guy named Joe had 30 days and it said, my name's Joe, I have 30 days, and everybody clapped, and I thought, oh my God, you know, you have to say your name, you're an alcoholic, and tell him how much time you have. I'm like, oh my God. Michelene, alcoholic, I have 11 hours. And they totally gave me a bigger round of applause than they did Joe with his 30 days. I mean, totally into hours, you know. I was like, whoa, you know. I'm like feeling kind of better for 5 seconds, you know. They were so proud of me. So I went, and I was awake, because I didn't know if you counted sleeping time, awake time, how it worked here, but I wanted credit for the whole 11 hours. I was awake and sober. And I joined that night. I mean, anybody that's really proud of you after what you've been doing and clapping for you, I would join it if I were you. Because they're not clapping for us out there. They're not proud of us. They think we're bad. And in here, we just clap for everything, you know, good. Didn't beat the dog today. Good job, Joe. Yeah, we're totally into this. This is so weird. And that's how I got sober. That was how I got sober. And I still had the job and the house and the kids and the stuff. And they have a meeting after the meeting, and everybody would go have coffee, and so caffeine didn't keep me up at night. And it was like, and all these people were so nice to me, and it was so long every day to be sober, but they knew that. They got how long a whole day is and overnight sober without anything. And they were just nice to me, and they said, go to 2 or 3 meetings a day right now. And I said, well, I have a job, and you know, well, you can get these 2 in. Well, I have kids. Well, it's so funny when you're drinking, it's like, screw the job, you know, drink over. I went to the kids, oh, whatever on the kids. But now that I'm sober, I must be very responsible, you know. It's like, but I'm sitting at my job, and I'm probably 2 weeks sober, and I'm looking at my stuff on my big desk in this office, and I realized I wasn't actually qualified for this job. I don't even know how I got the job, to tell you the truth. And I've been doing this for 13 years. I mean, it's like, whoa, don't get it. And I can't be here. I mean, dude. And I just start sweating, you know. And so I walked into the director and I said, I'm an alcoholic. She went, really? Oh, yeah, I'm bad. I was even drinking here. I had to join AA. She goes, really? I said, oh, yeah. I'm in AA now, and I have to go, you know, I have to go now, I can't be here. And she goes, you know, take the rest of the day off, this is good, you know, I went, no, I think I'm going to have to quit. I'm not going to be able to work and be in AA, I'm just too much to do this, I can't, and it's long, I mean, it's like bad enough if you're not working and sober, but working and being sober is just too much. It was too much for me anyway. And some people I know stay employed. I'm really proud of you, whatever. But it wasn't my story. I can't function sober. It was a freak show. And I went home and I sat in my mental patient rocking chair. I got 180 miles an hour, just going nowhere. You know, it's like, yeah. You know, my kids are like walking by going, what happened? I went, I can't work. I'm in AA now. And I'm not actually qualified for the job. I mean, I was like, everything's a lie. I'm just, what? And if I'm really good, and then I'll be a trash girl at the Tuesday night meeting in a week. Then I have to have 30 days, and I just started like a cuckoo person. And my sponsor, the lady that was to become my sponsor, said, you know, some are sicker than others. I said, I know. Look at them, it's sad. It's easy to pick them out, you know, it's like, look at crap, you know. I didn't know she meant me, I didn't get it. So I'm just waiting to be in the next meeting of AA, and pretty soon they're coming, apparently, a box of mail was at the post office of, don't want to open it because if you open it, you owe it. If you don't open it, you don't owe it, and you won't get stressed. But they will take you home. Apparently, that was one of the pieces of mail that they kept sending me that I didn't want to open. And they will take your car. They will relieve you of all your worldly possessions for failure to open mail. Now, when I talk about it, it sounds so innocent. Don't open your mail. But when they talk about it, it's like bad, you know, and pretty soon the kids are going, what is happening? I said, I don't know. I'm in AA now. And I can't work. And I guess they were giving me mail, but I didn't get it opened. And it's just, I'm tired, you know. I'm just in AA. And it's so hard to be sober all day. And we're going to go to Dad's just while you're in AA. And I said, you know, give me a couple weeks. They got 12 things they want me to do. It's like not rocket. It's not like Est, you know. It's like, whoa, it's a book, you know. It's 164 pages, and they have some like little sob stories in the back, and 12 things are there, and you have to take out the trash or stuff. It's not a big deal thing. You know, give me a couple weeks. It was the summer of '82, and it was like, go to Coronado and, you know, be at your dad's. He had gotten sober with a chick called Terry Cole Whitaker. It was a very new age minister out in San Diego who was the rich get richer, rah-rah. But he'd gotten sober that way, and he and his wife, and they were in Coronado, and I just thought, go be at the beach. Let me just be in AA for 2 or 3 more weeks, and I'll figure all this out. You know, fake resumes are a dime a dozen. I could probably even go back. Apparently, I was so good, I could have gone back. But in 2 more weeks, I wasn't better, and I couldn't figure out how to get back to work, and I couldn't figure out how to get the house, and it was too much, and I just let it all go, only because I couldn't figure out how to not. And so they just made me, where I got sober, if you whined, you got a service commitment. And I had about 55 service commitments per week, it seemed like. You know, I'd be the trash girl and the chair girl and the coffee cup girl. And then I was young, then it was the ticket girl. It was a ticket girl at Saturday Night Speakers. And I really just thought it was cool. I was going to have the summer. I was going to take the steps and totally get into the God thing. But first, I had to have a place to live, and so somebody gave me a 14-foot camping trailer. I'm not really a camper. To live in their front yard. 14-foot is like short. And it's almost round. It's nondescript. And it had red shack carpeting, which is not one of my colors. And this thing, they wanted me to, I thought they meant a mobile home, which I actually didn't want to live in a mobile home. Even though it was free, it wasn't a mobile home. It was a round piece of metal with red shack carpeting and a thing called propane, which I'd never even heard of. And somebody brought me a bicycle so I could get to meetings. Hurrah, I'm not really a bicyclist either, you know, and I'm like not a camper, not a bicyclist. And I started finding these, you know, gifts from God. That's what your sponsor calls it when you're getting screwed. Oh, that's a gift from God. That is a gift. That's a miracle. That's a gift. You know it's not a gift, but they're convincing you that it's God. God hates my guts in because this is a nightmare. And I'm selling plasma and riding a bicycle, living in a tin can. The kids are in Coronado with him while he's binding himself. I'm like, I don't even know. I just realized that what I really needed was on the inside, and I needed a boyfriend to be an AA with me. To help me be a good AA person, and I wanted to go to AA dances, and I wanted to get laid, basically, and be close to God. And I needed a guy with a MasterCard and a car. I didn't have high standards, just a running automobile and a credit card. And I could survive AA, sober, you know, it was like, and I couldn't get a date. My sponsor said it was a gift. And I don't know if it was because I was like plasma bandage on my arm, the fishing cap with the lure, the bicycle. I mean, I thought it was hot, you know, and apparently I was not bringing him in. And I ride my bicycle to Taco Leo's at night because that's where the payphone was, and I just cried. I'm going to have a nervous breakdown, and I'd sit in the camping trailer because it had no running water. I had a hose outside I had to bring in. And I had no phone, I had no television, and no radio. And she would say, ask God to hold you tonight. Like, okay. I don't think you really understand my needs. I mean, you got a furry chest, and then I'll pray. I mean, I just gotta have something here going so I can be spiritual. I mean, I'll take this step, I'll do anything. And she'd say, ask God to hold you tonight. And so I started doing it flippantly. You know, dear God, please hold me tonight because I can't get a date. And if you don't, I'll kill myself. I'll leave a note and say I asked you and you didn't help me. And I was very dramatic, and because I was serious, I meant it. But there's some place secret in your relationship with God that you don't have to be cool. And I definitely was in that place where I didn't have to be cool. That was probably my most authentic self ever, my most real self. It was almost like a childlike vulnerability that was a secret. And I just exposed myself to God. And I got into God letters. And that's what I have the ladies I sponsor do, and that's what I was told to do. And keep writing these letters every single day, and pretty soon there'd be a relationship there. And I started doing that, and pretty soon there was a relationship. Very freaky, but it was working, and I felt a little less nuts and a little bit more focused and a little bit more comfortable, and I could be alone for 18 minutes without having a meltdown and having to be somewhere and hurry. I mean, I could go to 50 meetings in one day rather than spend 5 minutes alone with me. And all of a sudden, you know, I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous in good standing, and I'm taking the steps, and I'm doing it. I have service commitments, and I'm meeting with my sponsor, and I'm not thinking about a boyfriend, and I want the kids to come home, and when I have something to offer them. Obviously, I can't have them there. An old-timer got me making sandwiches in a deli. He said, you've been a mom, you can make a sandwich. I have a friend, you can start tomorrow. And I went, I have a healthcare background. And he goes, you have no job, no phone, no transportation, and no way to really create a fake resume right now, so you're starting tomorrow. That's what my first year was like. It was like, no phone, right to the pay phone and call your sponsor. And so as I was taking these steps, I started having something happen to me. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot. I was starting to get this thing here like it made sense. Like the 4-step made sense. You know, like it was really going to be about my side of the street. I got to tell you about theirs, but I was really going to look for my role in things, which I'd never been willing to do because I was a professional victim. And victims can get away with a lot of crap. People that work through that can't. You got to take some ownership over who you are, what you're about, and where you're going. And so I was reluctant to do that. And then I started taking the 6th and 7th step. When I got to my 8th and 9th step, I need to tell you, I tried to be painstaking about this. I had let a pizza bill go from probably $12, we'll say. I make up amounts because I really don't remember. It was a long time ago. To like $200 because they put it in collection and then every month it compounds. It was a very expensive pizza night for the children. But I had a check. And pizza for everybody. Bring in the neighbors. Who cares? I had to make financial amends that were big and were little but I didn't have to make them all at once, and my sponsor would just work off of that list and say, let's take this one. Let's send them $2. Let's do this. And everybody worked with me, amazingly enough. And then I was going through people, and my mom had died when I was young. I also got my sister to raise when I was 21 years old, and she's actually only 2 years older than my oldest daughter. And she's 46, my oldest daughter's 44, next son's 42, my next child is 35, my next one's 33. So they're from 33 to 46. It's a stretch. That was my family. I got to my 9th step and I had to go to Texas and see my dad. My dad and I had a broken relationship, and of course it was his fault because I was wonderful. Except with this stupid inventory trip I was on, it was kind of like I'd always wanted him to be somebody different, and I wanted to be the way I was. And I always wanted him to be a great father, but I was never a great daughter. And I wanted him to remember my birthday, but I wasn't. I thought his birthday might be in October. And it went on from there. I wanted him to know me and accept me. Had no idea who this guy was. So I fly to Texas. That's where my dad is. And I'm going to make amends because I'm sorry. I am sorry not for his side of the street. I'm sorry for mine, and I want to try to make it right. And I want to find out who he is. And I want to thank him for trying to put me in private school and Catholic school and give me a good education and la-di-la-di-la-di. And I'm ready to do it. And I go there, and I meet with my mom's sister, who's, and I'm getting ready. I'm feeling very spiritual. I was 5 years sober by then, and this was my biggest one and the hardest one. And so I'm telling her, you know, I said, it's just so weird, and I'm going to go in AA now, and I'm going to go make my amends, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, and I said, but it was like we weren't connected, right? And she goes, oh, honey, that's not even your real daddy. Oh, what? She goes, that's not your real daddy. She goes, you didn't know that? Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I thought you knew. Well, anyway. You know what a freak show you can be at 5. I mean, you can imagine what I was like. I'm like, I'm not German? That's what I said. I'm not German. She goes, no, you're Greek or a Jew. I'm never I can remember. But it was a restaurant owner where your mama was a waitress, honey. This is how they are in Texas. I'm like, I am Greek or Jewish? I'm not German. I don't look like German people in our family, but it never occurred to me I wasn't German. My maiden name was Dreheim. I mean, Christ, how much more German. That's something. You couldn't even believe it. And she said, well, I'm sorry, honey. It looks like I upset you. So I raced over to the Legacy Club right outside of Houston, and there's this old timer that got sober the year I was born, and I'm racing in like Kramer to tell her this thing before I go see my dad. I'm not really my dad. Now I'm a Greek or a Jew. My mother, you know, my mother did this, and my dad, and and she looked at me like I was nuts. She said, honey, a daddy's a daddy. Just get over it. I'm like, you know, I mean, California, that's Oprah material. In Texas, they don't care. You've already bored them with the drama of it all. She goes, let's just have a meeting on acceptance tonight. Little California girl's got a problem. And that's what they did, and I swear to God, double Bible, at the end of the meeting, it was fine. It was fine. It was fine. That was my dad. That was the trip. This was my amends. If they did it to protect me or without telling me, then they must have had a good reason. My mom went to her grave with it, and I wasn't going to tell my dad I knew. I was just going to go clean up my side of the street with my dad. And that's what I was able to do. Phew, that's huge. For me. And I went and he just looked at me and I said, I'm so sorry. And I said, I want a chance to be a good daughter. And he just looked at me. He had never seen me think about him. He'd never seen me think about anybody that wasn't in somehow relationship to myself. These people were just there to make me happy. That's what I think I thought. I didn't know who they were, what they needed, where they came from, nothing. And for the next few years, I got to know my dad before he died. It was amazing. I got to ask him questions about when I was little, and he was an amazing person. And I got to be there, and he died, and he was fairly young. And but I got to be a good daughter before he went. And I'd wanted Prince Charming, and my sponsor convinced me that, he was looking for a princess, and I wasn't one. Ow. True, but ow. It was like, why don't you wait until you have something to offer? And the kids had come home, and I'd gotten out of the deli after the first year and gone back to health care. And I said, okay. I just got it. I got that I really wasn't healthy enough to have a relationship with a guy, that I knew what I was good at and I knew what I wasn't good at. It was too much. And to be an AA and be a mom and go to work, and it was all going to be enough, more than enough to keep me busy. And Carl from the club brought me a car, free car. He comes over as soon as I got the kids back and knocked on the door because all I had was a bicycle. And I just gotten a job back in healthcare, which was some distance from the house. Just gotten into an apartment with my credit, and because God's in charge of all of it. You'll get what you need to get if you're going to stay sober no matter what. And God knew I was, and that's what happened. I'd get these ugly, gifts in ugly wrapping paper from God. God's gifts come in ugly wrapping paper sometimes. They look like you're getting screwed. Looks like a bad gift. But inside, they would be like the things that make you you and build your character and make you kind of feel good about yourself and legitimate. And that's what kept happening to me. And Carl brings me a free car. It was a red Ford Pinto, which I call a bottom in itself. I was just like, I don't mean to offend Pinto people, but I hate Pintos. And I would never drive one, and I certainly wouldn't drive a red Pinto. And this is the free car I'm getting? I mean, only a couple years though. I don't want it. I'm thinking if people in A, I'll bring you a car. I'm waiting for a Volvo. I am not going to just jump at the first car that's brought to me. I'm like, I can't be seen in it. So I thank Carl for bringing it, but I said I can't. And he goes, no, I want you to have it. You've worked hard, and kids are home. And I said, no, I'm serious, I can't. And so he just kind of smiled, and he said, okay. He went left. I called my sponsor because I had a phone now, and I said, oh my God, you won't believe what happened. And so I'm telling her like she'll understand. She said, you did what? She says, you call Carl and you tell him you're so sorry, you're so ungrateful, but you're new, and that you would appreciate it if he'd bring back the car and forgive you for acting like that. I said, then do I have to drive it? I don't really want to drive it. And that's how I got my 1 year cake. I mean, it was just sober, I'm not good. Drunk, I'm relaxed. Drunk, I throw up, I pass out. I don't open mail, I don't get all worried about money. I spend it like I got it. I don't worry about it, and I don't care. I go to a place where there is no pressure on me at all. And if I could have stayed there without waking up sober all the time, I probably would have just died drunk. Because I did not know how to live every single day. It was just too much. And you guys taught me everything. Everything. So far, you've taught me everything about what to do and when. And, you know, after a few years, I'm raising the kids. You guys are helping me with that. Transportation, all of those kinds of things. And the next thing I know, I meet Prince Charming. He drops dead a few years later from a heart attack. I got about 5 minutes and I'll wrap it up. This is what I'm trying to say. Every single thing in God's world is in perfect order. Mine isn't always. I needed help raising the kids. I needed help getting back to work. I needed help getting my amends made. I needed help with everything. I needed help burying him unexpectedly. I needed help. 2 heart attacks, open heart surgery. The next thing I know, I mean, I'm young. I had just done a 5K. I'm like, this is just crazy stuff. And then I look around, I think it's nothing compared to what other people I've seen go through. This program will make you stronger. It will make you legitimate. And it will give you kind of spiritual confidence if you stay busy. I've always had service commitments since I've got here. My kids have produced 8 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. My grandkids are 6 to 27 years old. They think I'm a regular grandma. They've never seen me drink. My 2 oldest are in the program. The 2 youngest are glad. You know, I have a son that's been in Afghanistan for 2 years after 8 years in the Marine Corps. And it's like, this world's like in perfect order. And the best thing I've got going for me is I'm the secretary at Thursday Night Women's Step Study. I am. I'm the bathroom cleaner at my home group Sunday morning. I'm an H&I person. You know, I'll be a greeter. I will be a greeter. This thing has always come first. My kids thought they always came first. Every single thing in my life has been in perfect order. I just have to accept the gifts in ugly wrapping paper. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.